So I developed the pre-construction team from, everybody from civil, from structural, architectural, um, building that whole asset and the team in the beginning, and really actually also working with developers and builders to understand this form of construction and what it takes to build it.
Okay. So you'd be a good person to ask this question. What do people not get yet about modular construction?
The whole thing.
Right? This is what I feel like. Jay and I have had this discussion so many times. Like, I don't
Right?
like,
It's
I
like
watch a
this
job site and I'm just
buzzword.
like, I don't really know why we're still here. We've been doing this for 60 years. I got literally every known answer to the universe in my pocket, yet we're still building homes the same way we did roughly, for the
Yeah.
last like 60 years.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
there's something like modular construction out there. And it's just like, I don't get why this is not happening yet. Is it the consumer who is like, whoa, I don't want my house? Is this like the bigger version of laminate flooring? Like, no, I want weird, real hardwood. You're like, look, it's come a long way
Actually,
since then.
I think the consumers are the ones asking for it. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
they're the ones, I think it's more fear based by developers and builders.
Hmm.
It's interesting when builders get into construction, they build their first house and are like, oh my God, I'm going to do my first house. This is really scary, but they get through it.
Yep.
It's the same thing with modular, right? You're just changing your form of how you're going to be building or
That's right.
constructing the
Yep.
project. And so there's this big like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. And then there's this preconceived notion that modular or offsite construction is the same as manufactured.
Right.
Right.
It's a
Right?
big
Totally.
misnomer. Yep.
So
Yeah.
misnomer, right? And
Mhm.
I mean, here's the thing. I love all offsite construction. If you're going to just start dipping your toe into panelization, awesome, right?
Hmm.
Because it takes little steps for people to understand this format. And it doesn't matter to me if you want to start with containers and do that, awesome. Any kind of area that you can actually help your business with more efficiencies is progress.
Hmm.
I agree. I agree. Shane and I have talked about it a ton where, we're big shipping container guys and we're really
Mhm.
interested in that, and have been doing research, having conversations, networking within that community for, I don't know, Shane, what, almost 2 years now,
Yeah. Probably about
maybe
that.
even
Mhm.
longer.
Right.
And, you run into the same kind of real structured constructs that people have with that type. And Shane and I have almost had to recreate a new narrative just to engage in conversations with people where we're like, you're thinking we're taking a steel box and cutting out windows. And what we're doing is steel construction. And
Right.
if you can start to wrap your brain around the idea that it's not used shipping containers and it's just steel structures, then that first wall kind of breaks down. And then the only thing you'd have to do after that is really show them conceptually what it would look like finished. And they're almost all the way there in a heartbeat. They're like, oh my God, why is this not a thing?
Right.
And you're like, well, it is a thing. It's just not a thing that is really, I wouldn't even go, I mean, it's borderline getting mainstream. Um,
Yes.
but it's not standardized yet as a general construction practice. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? It's
I
probably
agree.
represents a fraction.
Yeah.
So what do you know like what
And
the
I think
go ahead.
modular is the same way. I think,
Uh-huh.
Evan, it's a fraction, right?
Yeah.
Since COVID, my company has quadrupled in business
Oh, I'm not surprised.
because, and just like what you're doing, people are trying to find new forms, easier ways, more efficiencies, how they can get things done because there's less trade base. So,
Hmm.
like, even when you guys are talking about containers, great. I love that narrative. It's the conversation, the same kind of things that I do, the same things that we are doing to educate. But it's not only that part of just the audience or the builder and developer, it's also educating all the trades,
Yep.
Right. Totally.
Yep.
right? So
Totally.
you're
Totally.
bringing that whole nother element in. I mean, it's just it's going to be a growing process, and I do see great opportunities in what we're achieving. They're small steps, but I feel that the consumer is ready for this. I
Hmm.
think it's the hesitation on the other side and the education of understanding. Like in my world, volumetric or modular construction just means that they're modules that are constructed in a factory, completely finished and brought to the
Yeah.
site, right?
Yeah.
And then you're also talking about the same codes, like we were also talking about It's built under the same IRC or International Residential Code as
right.
a regular home.
Yep.
Same difference, but it's just those little narratives, like you were saying, to having those conversations of educating people. And now that people are really asking for it and understanding it, it's changing. And so it makes me happy to see that, because we have to change the one industry that is so far behind. I mean, you look at our cars, they're built at a factory. You look at our phones, they're built at a factory. Every single thing is really manufactured from something.
Borderline
yet, oh
our
my
food.
gosh, right?
Yeah, borderline
Yeah.
our food is manufactured at
Unfortunate.
this point. Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and I do see a regression away from that a little bit, but I think there is well, it's just like anything, right? When you have a new concept or idea, and for context, we'll just call modular a new idea, just because it's not the it's the exception, not
majority
the
of
rule.
building.
There you go, right? And there's always this path to entry that's always a little tricky. And you have your laggards that are out there that just will hold on to hold on's sake, and then you have early adopters, which are like, probably us three, who were just saying, well, we're going to push the innovation. And, and using the shipping containers is the same idea. Shane and I have had to come to the conclusion that, we may do this shipping container development and really take it to a different place. But in 20 years, it likely won't be shipping containers, but
Right.
it's the thing that breaks through the ceiling a little bit. And as long as we stay flexible, it may be 3D printed homes at some point, but you got to first say what we're doing currently is inefficient, or it's antiquated, or it's not good economically. And that usually, for the people really pushing that narrative, it's a little messy.
Right.
So let me ask you, Audrey, why do you think people are asking for this more? Is it the consumer?
I think that the realistic scenario of what's happening is we don't have enough general contractors, and we don't have enough trades, and they're trying to, like, now what's happening is they're buying their land, they're getting prepared, they're educating themselves, they're figuring out the build process, because it's still a build process, right? And I just think that, what's happening in the marketplace currently, as we're all aware, is that building material prices continue to increase. And so if you can find a price for a home or a project, and you have cost certainty, and when you're signing on the dotted line without making any change orders or anything to that project, the cost of that,
right,
that is huge.
Yep.
Right. And
Cost
then knowing
certainty.
that, yes, and knowing that you can get it done within a certain amount of time.
Right. Timelines.
Shane, I mean, you and I were talking about it. When I started, I did a custom home, a 4-box modular custom home in Keystone, with a huge amount of customization. We had to do a garage, we had to do a custom basement. We had about half of the house was, stonework that we had to do. And that house took us 12 months to complete, which was outstanding in a market, in a winter, in a market that is, takes anywhere from 18 to 36 months to complete that same type of project size.
Yeah, any 6 months of the year here, you're going to get screwed on weather. So
absolutely, right? So then I go all the way, and then getting all the way through those processes, I kept getting faster and faster and faster. And our trade started understanding, hey, I don't have to be there for electrical for a whole week on the house. I can be there for less than 2 days. So everybody started understanding the pattern. Our last project was basically 880 square foot, 1-box modular. And after we had it set on the foundation, it was completed in 28 days.
It's amazing.
That's crazy.
It's wonderful, because this industry, like you've touched on, I think this is one of the reasons probably why you guys got busier during COVID, is we've had all the squeeze happening and material costs and inefficiencies. And there's been a huge depletion of trades, irregardless, that's not a word, sorry, of yeah, sure, it's now it's a word.
Now it is it's a word. It's a word. Yeah.
but you've already had the depletion of trades in this industry before anything else, including pandemics or anything else, has come along. And so you're already dealing with not having enough hands on deck to build. But if you had the same hands on deck that were efficient in even several trades, which is another way to go with some of this, then your timeline decreases, then your speed of delivery increases, and you have costs come way down. And like Audrey was saying, you have this ability to literally quantify the entire project and say, I've got this many months and this is what my cost is going to be. Just like a vehicle will be produced, it's going to cost us this much to build it, and you can just do it over and over again. That's a business model. That's the way businesses should run, right? Not it's around this and maybe 12 months, maybe 14, maybe 2 years. I don't know. There's so many I don't knows, which is probably a lot of the reasons why general contractors get a bad rap too, is there are a lot of uncertainties, but you can contain all of that within building in one spot and having the same people on deck where you're not having people travel around. I mean, tracing trades is, I'm
Very
trying to do a lot of
difficult.
tongue twisters in this show.
You're really doing well.
But tracing trades is really difficult. And if you have them all in one place, that cuts down on the timeline too. And so, yeah, I mean, with all the cost uncertainties.
Contractor is the most difficult. I have to say, being a builder, just with like, people don't even think about builders. Like, everyone's like, builders are making so much money. Oh my gosh, right? But there's so much. I mean, there's insurance, there's trades, there's like so many details that you, and there's like, 200,000 pieces in a house.